are going to go ahead and get started. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. The name of God, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful. Bismillahi wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. So this is the 17th night of Ramadan. Alhamdulillah, we are slowly and surely progressing. We ask that Allah grants us the best of strength to take advantage. This is kind of the dog days of Ramadan, where we're not at the 10 nights, the last 10 nights yet, but some of us, I know, are losing steam. So we ask that Allah allows us to continue to give us strength to push as much as we can in these days and nights. So there are two surahs that we're covering today. This is the 17th juz, and we're covering Surah Al-Anbiya and Surah Al-Hajj. And so I was just going to cover a bit on both, more so focusing on Surah Al-Anbiya. So this first chapter, this is a chapter entitled The Prophets. And this was a surah that was revealed in the Meccan period. We've talked about before how the surah is revealed in the Meccan phase when the Muslims were in a minority, centered around the larger themes of Islam, the Day of Judgment, the lineage of the prophets, with the Prophet himself, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, being the seal of the prophets, and responding to a lot of the questions and the attacks that the people of the Quraysh had towards the Prophet. In this chapter, I want to focus on three stories because there are multiple prophets that are mentioned in this chapter. So I figured it'd be helpful to just focus on three of them. The first is a story that is detailed in this chapter. And what I'll do is, before we start, I'll just drop a text of basically where each of the stories take place in this chapter and then in Surah Al-Hajj in the next chapter, so that way you can just kind of keep an eye out for it as we're reading along. So the first is Ibrahim alayhi salam, and it's a story of essentially finding God as the one who is self-sufficient. So in this chapter, there's basically a retelling of events. Ibrahim alayhi salam as a prophet, he continues throughout the course of his life to educate his people, to try to guide them and warn them and bring them back to orient themselves to the one. And it gets to a point where he basically decides, I have to take more intense action. And so essentially the story goes is that there was some sort of festival that takes place. The city empties out. And so Ibrahim alayhi salam, he goes to the sort of the main temple of his people, and he destroys every single one of the idols that are there, except for the largest one. And he then takes the hammer or the tool that he used to destroy the idols and basically places it upon the largest idol. And so as you'll read in the surah, the people come back. And so they ask Ibrahim alayhi salam, they're like, was it you? Or they first ask, who has done this to our idols? And there's some youth, some people hanging out, and they're like, we heard it might have been Ibrahim. So they call Ibrahim over and they say, was this you who did this to our idols, right? Did you smash them all? And he says, no, it wasn't me. And he said, the biggest one still standing there, you should go ahead and ask the biggest idol. Like maybe they did. And so the people then kind of gather amongst themselves and they say to Ibrahim, Ibrahim, you know that the statues, these idols, they can't do anything. So tell us if it was you who did it. And so Ibrahim alayhi salam then says that, do you then worship besides God things that can neither profit you nor harm you? To try to make the point that you've invested so much in ascribing powers to these inanimate objects, when in reality, you yourself are telling me that they're not even capable of doing something so much as destroying, right, another idol or another object. And so there's a lot of anger. Obviously, Ibrahim's ticked off a bunch of people, alayhi salam. So they build this large fire, and the idea was that they were going to fling him basically by catapult into this flame. And the narrations, they say that the fire was built over the period of multiple days. People were told that if you contribute to this fire, you'll be healed of any diseases because it will be purging the city and our people of this evil omen of this, man who's calling us to these false beliefs. And so when Ibrahim alayhi salam is getting launched into the fire, right? This is a prophet of God who's essentially at the cusp of death. The angels in the heavens, they start to get really concerned and worried, right? Seeing a prophet of God, almost about to be killed. And we know that the angels cannot do anything against the decree or the will of God, or against to disobey God. And Jibreel alayhi salam, the angel Gabriel, actually comes to Ibrahim as he's in the air, and he says to Ibrahim alayhi salam, "Oh Ibrahim, do you need any help?" And Ibrahim alayhi salam simply says to him, "Hasbi Allah wa ni'mal wakeel." He essentially says, that no, I don't need your help. Indeed, Allah is sufficient for me, hasbi Allah, and He is the best disposer of affairs. And so, as Ibrahim salam enters into the fire, there's an ayah we'll read where Allah commands the fire and says to the fire to be cool. He says, "O fire, be coolness and safety upon Abraham." And of course, the people intended to harm him, and he was ultimately saved. What's powerful about this story is that you think about in our lives the moments where there are imminent threats or dangers, and the way that Ibrahim could see the fire very well, and that it was clearly a physical danger to his own well-being. And there was this underlying sort of confidence in that he knew that God was sufficient for him, that I have done my duties as a messenger. I have carried out what I have needed to do. Everything now is in the hands of God, right? And the sufficiency and the calmness and the peace comes from being able to then place that trust in God after having done what he did. And I think it's an important lesson for us when we're considering, our own affairs on an individual level, that you put in that effort, right? And you carry out whatever purpose or whatever means God has given you to accomplish the things that you can do, both in your service of other people and also in your worship of God. And then you place your trust in him, right? And so this is where that phrase hasbi Allah or hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakeel comes in. The second story is about a prophet named Ayyub alayhi salam, the prophet Job, as is referred to in the Bible. And essentially his story, there is a couple ayahs that are referred to of him in this chapter. And his story is essentially that he was given plenty of wealth. He had a large family, and he essentially lived a very peaceful and calm life. And he was steadfast in his faith, very much was strong in his conviction, his belief in God. And so as Ibn Kathir, rahimahullah, writes in Bidayah wa Nihaya, there's a point where Satan, Shaitan, goes to God and says to him that, look, Ayyub's only out here worshiping you and praising you because he's got everything that he wants, right? Give me the ability to strip him away of his material, comforts and watch him turn on you. So Allah gives him the ability to do that. Shaitan does that to Ayyub alayhi salam. He loses essentially all of his material wealth and comforts. Imagine his house, whatever it may be. And Ayyub alayhi salam continues to praise God. And he says that, this was essentially given to me. These items were given to me as a trust by God, and they are now returning back to their rightful owner. Shaitan goes back to God and says to him a second time, look, it's because he has his family and his loved ones around him. You allow me to take that away from him and watch him turn on you. Allah gives him the ability to do that. Satan takes away his family members, his kids, everyone else that he had around him who loved him. And his response remains consistent, right? What Allah has taken away from me belongs to him. I was only its trustee for a while. Satan comes back again and says it's because of his physical health that he's worshiping you. If you allow me to take away his physical health, then he'll surely turn on you. Allah gives him the ability to do so, says that you won't be able to mess with his soul. There are three things that he says. That you won't be able to have control over his soul, his intellect, or his heart, because in these places reside the knowledge of me and my religion. And Ayyub alayhi salam ends up entering into this state of essential, on the edge of death, right? This just complete physical pain. And some narrations say that he was in this state for 7 years. And since the beginning of, his sort of existence and he being a prophet, throughout all these trials and tribulations, his reliance and his patience and his gratitude to God continues. And so even after everything is taken away from his life, he spends about 7 years literally, almost about to die, but in the state of immense physical pain. He continues to submit to God, that there was no sort of condition upon which he worshiped God. It was not that the gifts or the things he was given to him were the reasons for why he submitted to his creator. And so in this chapter, Allah then says that Ayyub alayhi salam calls out to us, making dua, and we healed him, right? But the lesson here was the journey that Ayyub alayhi salam goes through until that healing, where the faith in God is never shaken. The belief that God is the ultimate provider and the one who was the control of those blessings, that I, as an individual, was not entitled to any of the things that was given to me, but rather God chose to bless me with it, and in him taking those things back, it's going back to its rightful owner. And so that's the second story, kind of focusing more on the continuous gratitude that doesn't that isn't conditional upon what one has or doesn't have. The third story is the story of Yunus alayhi salam, the prophet Jonah. We read in this chapter the famous dua that Yunus alayhi salam makes. The essential story is that Yunus is sent to his people. He gets fed up because his people do not listen to him, and he experiences immense levels of rejection. So he abandons his people. He essentially abandons his mission as a messenger of God, and he flees on this boat. And upon this boat, the boat begins to sink. The crew members try to throw off different items. It's still sinking. They have sort of a casting of lots where they draw different names. And Yunus alayhi salam's name comes up again and again and again, to the point where Yunus realizes, right, that this is a sign from God, that he's supposed to jump off the ship, right? That this is something that is sort of a consequence for him abandoning his mission. So he jumps off the ship, enters into the belly of the whale, and in this chapter we read the famous dua. He says, while he's in the belly of the whale, under multiple layers of darkness, right, isolated, completely alone, now realizing and fully experiencing the impact of his actions, right, and having sort of left what God has tasked him with. And he says in the belly of the whale, La ilaha illa anta subhanak inni kuntu min al-zalimin. Says there is no deity or object worthy of worship except you. Ya Allah, you are glorified above all deficiencies, and verily I am amongst those who have done wrong. And the Prophet has told us, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that the dua of the one of the fish, referring to Yunus alayhi salam, that whoever recites that, La ilaha illa subhanak inni kuntu min al-zalimin, right, with a heart full of conviction that seeks to turn back to God, especially when you're thinking about the layers of darkness that Yunus alayhi salam was in, that in those moments then he makes this powerful dua, fully beseeching the help of his creator when no one else was there. The Prophet tells us that whoever makes this dua, Allah will answer that person, that it can never go unaccepted, that dua is always answered. And I'll drop the link or the verse number for this in the description. And so essentially you see in Surah Al-Anbiya stories of different prophets, each prophet having sort of their own personality, and Allah Azza wa Jal highlighting a trait, that kind of embodies the legacy of that prophet. With Yunus alayhi salam, I think it's the beauty of turning back to God and being given the blessing of having the opportunity to realize one's mistake, and then to turn back in the depths of darkness, in the lowest of lows, and then have your creator answer you and elevate you back and bring you back once you've been able to realize where you messed up. Surah Al-Hajj, this is the second chapter reading. There's no sort of agreement as to when this chapter was revealed. It essentially is comprised of ayahs, both revealed in the Meccan phase and the Medinan phase. And so one of the main elements highlighted in Surah Al-Hajj is the significance of the Hajj, of the pilgrimage, and highlighting what Ibrahim alayhi salam, the prophet Abraham, was ordered to do for his people when it came to the rituals of Hajj, and how we continue to practice that sort of ritual as Muslims. There are two ayahs I want to highlight here, kind of talking about the condition of the people who believe and the people who don't believe. So in verse number 11, this is where Allah Azza wa Jalla, he describes a characteristic of some of those people who claim that they believe in God. Allah says there are some who serve God with unsteady faith, or who are on the brink or on the edge of faith. If something good comes their way, they are satisfied, but if they are tested, they revert to their old ways, losing both this world and the next. That is the clearest loss. And this verse, there's sort of different interpretations as to why it was revealed. But the idea is that you have people who believe, but it's on this sort of edge, right? And it kind of goes back to the lessons of Ayyub alayhi salam. It's sort of conditional. If things work out for the person, they further attest to their faith and belief in God. And if things aren't necessarily going their way, then they're content, kind of leaving their belief or kind of abandoning it. And Imam al-Tabari, rahimahullah, he talks about how there used to be Bedouins at the time of the Prophet ﷺ who would come and embrace Islam, seeking some material benefit. And so if they were able to obtain that benefit, they would further attest to the veracity, the truthfulness of what the Prophet was saying. And if they didn't, they would just, leave Islam and kind of go back to their old ways. And so understanding for ourselves, right, like what does Islam really mean, both in points and in moments of success and joy, as well as in points of difficulty, is important for us to think about. There was another man, as Imam al-Razi rahimahullah writes in his tafsir, a man, he came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said to him that, this religion has brought me no good, right? There's nothing good in it. And the Prophet says to that person, Islam is not something spoken, Islam melts as fire melts away the impurities of iron, gold, and silver. As to say that Islam is not something that because you believe in it, you will now physically see the material benefits of it, right? But rather there's an internal purification process, one that occurs through difficulty and occurs through trials and tribulations, where we get to further cleanse the heart of the other attachments and things it relies upon to then be able to orient itself back to God. And so that process of purification is obtained through the sort of ups and downs of life, where you can then get further clarity of what it is that remains consistent, and that is God himself alone. The last ayah referring to those people who did not believe in a characteristic of them, Allah says in verse 73, he says, people, here's an illustration or an example, so listen carefully. Those you call on beside God could not, even if they combined all their forces, create a fly. And if a fly took something away from them, they would not be able to retrieve it. How feeble are the petitioners, and how feeble are those they petition. So subhanAllah, it's just one of those examples where Allah takes one of the smallest of his own creation and says, if you were to really think about the objects and the things that you attribute God-like and divine-like powers to, if they all got together to try to make something as small as a fly, right, with its own abilities to sustain itself and seek out its nourishment and sustenance, you couldn't do so. And that if something was taken away from you, you could not conjure up whatever you wanted to be able to retrieve that item. So it pushes the Quraysh at that time, and also for us here today to think about what we're willing to put our faith in, and ultimately what in our reality has ultimate authority over our affairs. So we ask that Allah Azza wa Jalla grants us the ability to benefit from these verses. I'll go ahead and drop the verses now. So Ustad Amina will be starting for us today. This is chapter number 21. I'm going to go ahead and mute myself.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اقترب للناس حسابهم وهم في غفلة معرضون ما يأتيهم من ذكر من ربهم محدث إلا استمعوه وهم يلعبون لاهية قلوبهم وأسروا النجوى الذين ظلموا هل هذا إلا بشر مثلكم أفتأتون السحر وأنتم تبصرون قال ربي يعلم القول في السماء والأرض وهو السميع العليم بل قالوا أضغاث أحلام بل افتراه بل هو شاعر فليأتنا بآية كما أرسل الأولون ما آمنت قبلهم من قرية أهلكناها أفهم يؤمنون وما أرسلنا قبلك إلا رجالا نوحي إليهم فاسألوا أهل الذكر إن كنتم لا تعلمون وما جعلناهم جسدا لا يأكلون الطعام وما كانوا خالدين ثم صدقناهم الوعد فأنجيناهم ومن نشاء وأهلكنا المسرفين لقد أنزلنا إليكم كتابا فيه ذكركم أفلا تعقلون وكم قسمنا من قرية كانت ظالمة وأنشأنا بعدها قوما آخرين فلما أحسوا بأسنا إذا هم منها يركضون لا تركضوا وارجعوا إلى ما أترفتم فيه ومساكنكم لعلكم تسألون قالوا يا ويلنا إنا كنا ظالمين فما زالت تلك دعواهم حتى جعلناهم حصيدا خامدين وما خلقنا السماء والأرض وما بينهما لاعبين ولو أردنا أن نتخذ لهوا لاتخذناه من لدنا إن كنا فاعلين بل نقذف بالحق على الباطل فيدمغه فإذا هو زاهق ولكم الويل مما تصفون وله ما في السماوات والأرض ومن عنده لا يستكبرون عن عبادته ولا يستحسرون يسبحون الليل والنهار لا يفترون أم اتخذوا آلهة من الأرض هم ينشرون لو كان فيهما آلهة إلا الله لفسدتا فسبحان الله رب العرش عما يصفون لا يسأل عما يفعل وهم يسألون أم اتخذوا من دونه آلهة قل هاتوا برهانكم هذا ذكر من معي وذكر من قبلي بل أكثرهم لا يعلمون الحق فهم معرضون وما أرسلنا من قبلك من رسول إلا نوحي إليه أنه لا إله إلا أنا فاعبدون وقالوا اتخذ الرحمن ولدا سبحانه بل عباد مكرمون لا يسبقونه بالقول وهم بأمره يعملون يعلم ما بين أيديهم وما خلفهم ولا يشفعون إلا لمن ارتضى وهم من خشيته مشفقون ومن يقل منهم إني إله من دون الله فذلك نجزيه جهنم كذلك نجزي الظالمين أولم ير الذين كفروا أن السماوات والأرض كانتا رتقا ففتقناهما وجعلنا من الماء كل شيء حي أفلا يؤمنون وجعلنا في الأرض رواسي أن تميد بهم وجعلنا فيها فجاجا سبلا لعلهم يهتدون وجعلنا السماء سقفا محفوظا وهم عن آياتها معرضون هو الذي خلق الليل والنهار والشمس والقمر كل في فلك يسبحون وما جعلنا لبشر من قبلك الخلد أفإن مت فهم الخالدون كل نفس ذائقة الموت ونبلوكم بالشر والخير فتنة وإلينا ترجعون وإذا رآك الذين كفروا إن يتخذونك إلا هزوا أهذا الذي يذكر آلهتكم وهم بذكر الرحمن هم كافرون خلق الإنسان من عجل سأريكم آياتي فلا تستعجلون ويقولون متى هذا الوعد إن كنتم صادقين لو يعلم الذين كفروا حين لا يكفون وجوههم النار ولا عن ظهورهم ولا هم ينصرون بل تأتيهم بغتة فتبهتهم فلا يستطيعون ردها ولا هم ينظرون ولقد استهزئ برسل من قبلك فحاق بالذين سخروا منهم ما كانوا به يستهزئون قل من يكلؤكم بالليل والنهار من الرحمن بل هم عن ذكر ربهم معرضون أم لهم آية تمنعهم من دوننا لا يستطيعون نصر أنفسهم ولا هم منا يصحبون بل متعنا هؤلاء وآباءهم وراءهم حتى طال عليهم العمر أفلا يرون أنا نأتي الأرض ننقصها من أطرافها أفهم الغالبون قل إنما أنذركم بالوحي ولا يسمع الصم الدعاء إذا ما ينظرون ولئن مستهم نفحة من عذاب ربك ليقولن يا ويلنا إنا كنا ظالمين ونضع الموازين القسط ليوم القيامة فلا تظلم نفس شيئا وإن كان مثقال حبة من خردل أتينا بها وكفى بنا حاسبين ولقد آتينا موسى وهارون الفرقان وضياء وذكرا للمتقين الذين يخشون ربهم بالغيب وهم من الساعة مشفقون وهذا ذكر مبارك أنزلناه أفأنتم له منكرون
ومن يقل منهم إني إله من دونه فذلك نجزيه جهنم ولقد آتينا إبراهيم رشده من قبل وكنا به عالمين إذ قال لأبيه وقومه ما هذه التماثيل التي أنتم لها عاكفون قالوا وجدنا آباءنا لها عابدين قال لقد كنتم أنتم وآباؤكم في ضلال مبين قالوا أجئتنا بالحق أم أنت من اللاعبين قال بل ربكم رب السماوات والأرض الذي فطرهن وأنا على ذلك من الشاهدين وتالله لأكيدن أصنامكم بعد أن تولوا مدبرين فجعلهم جذاذا إلا كبيرا لهم لعلهم إليه يرجعون قالوا من فعل هذا بآلهتنا إنه لمن الظالمين قالوا سمعنا فتى يذكرهم يقال له إبراهيم قالوا فأتوا به على أعين الناس لعلهم يشهدون قالوا أأنت فعلت هذا بآلهتنا يا إبراهيم قال بل فعله كبيرهم هذا فاسألوهم إن كانوا ينطقون فرجعوا إلى أنفسهم فقالوا إنكم أنتم الظالمون ثم نكسوا على رؤوسهم لقد علمت ما هؤلاء ينطقون قال أفتعبدون من دون الله ما لا ينفعكم شيئا ولا يضركم أف لكم ولما تعبدون من دون الله أفلا تعقلون قالوا حرقوه وانصروا آلهتكم إن كنتم فاعلين قلنا يا نار كوني بردا وسلاما على إبراهيم وأرادوا به كيدا فجعلناهم الأخسرين ونجيناه ولوطا إلى الأرض التي باركنا فيها للعالمين ووهبنا له إسحاق ويعقوب نافلة وكلا جعلنا صالحين وجعلناهم أئمة يهدون بأمرنا وأوحينا إليهم فعل الخيرات وإقام الصلاة وإيتاء الزكاة وكانوا لنا عابدين ولوطا آتيناه حكما وعلما ونجيناه من القرية التي كانت تعمل الخبائث إنهم كانوا قوم سوء فاسقين وأدخلناه في رحمتنا إنه من الصالحين ونوحا إذ نادى من قبل فاستجبنا له فنجيناه وأهله من الكرب العظيم ونصرناه من القوم الذين كذبوا بآياتنا إنهم كانوا قوم سوء فأغرقناهم أجمعين. وداود وسليمان إذ يحكمان في الحرث إذ نفشت فيه غنم القوم وكنا لحكمهم شاهدين ففهمناها سليمان وكلا آتينا حكما وعلما وسخرنا مع داود الجبال يسبحن والطير وكنا فاعلين وعلمناه صنعة لبوس لكم لتحصنكم من بأسكم فهل أنتم شاكرون. ولسليمان الريح عاصفة تجري بأمره إلى الأرض التي باركنا فيها وكنا بكل شيء عالمين. ومن الشياطين من يغوصون له ويعملون عملا دون ذلك وكنا لهم حافظين. وأيوب إذ نادى ربه أني مسني الضر وأنت أرحم الراحمين فاستجبنا له فكشفنا ما به من ضر وآتيناه أهله ومثلهم معهم رحمة من عندنا وذكرى للعابدين. وإسماعيل وإدريس وذا الكفل كل من الصابرين وأدخلناهم في رحمتنا إنهم من الصالحين. وذا النون إذ ذهب مغاضبا فظن أن لن نقدر عليه فنادى في الظلمات أن لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إني كنت من الظالمين فاستجبنا له ونجيناه من الغم وكذلك ننجي المؤمنين. وزكريا إذ نادى ربه رب لا تذرني فردا وأنت خير الوارثين فاستجبنا له ووهبنا له يحيى وأصلحنا له زوجه إنهم كانوا يسارعون في الخيرات ويدعوننا رغبا ورهبا وكانوا لنا خاشعين. والتي أحصنت فرجها فنفخنا فيها من روحنا وجعلناها وابنها آية للعالمين. إن هذه أمتكم أمة واحدة وأنا ربكم فاعبدون. وتقطعوا أمرهم بينهم كل إلينا راجعون. فمن يعمل من الصالحات وهو مؤمن فلا كفران لسعيه وإنا له كاتبون. وحرام على قرية أهلكناها أنهم لا يرجعون حتى إذا فتحت يأجوج ومأجوج وهم من كل حدب ينسلون. واقترب الوعد الحق فإذا هي شاخصة أبصار الذين كفروا يا ويلنا قد كنا في غفلة من هذا بل كنا ظالمين. إنكم وما تعبدون من دون الله حصب جهنم أنتم لها واردون. لو كان هؤلاء آلهة ما وردوها وكل فيها خالدون لهم فيها زفير وهم فيها لا يسمعون. إن الذين سبقت لهم منا الحسنى أولئك عنها مبعدون لا يسمعون حسيسها وهم فيما اشتهت أنفسهم خالدون. لا يحزنهم الفزع الأكبر وتتلقاهم الملائكة هذا يومكم الذي كنتم توعدون. يوم نطوي السماء كطي السجل للكتب كما بدأنا أول خلق نعيده وعدا علينا إنا كنا فاعلين. ولقد كتبنا في الزبور من بعد الذكر أن الأرض يرثها عبادي الصالحون إن في هذا لبلاغا لقوم عابدين وما أرسلناك إلا رحمة للعالمين. قل إنما يوحى إلي أنما إلهكم إله واحد فهل أنتم مسلمون. فإن تولوا فقل آذنتكم على سواء وإن أدري أقريب أم بعيد ما توعدون إنه يعلم الجهر من القول ويعلم ما تكتمون. وإن أدري لعله فتنة لكم ومتاع إلى حين قال رب احكم بالحق وربنا الرحمن المستعان على ما تصفون.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم إن زلزلة الساعة شيء عظيم يوم ترونها تذهل كل مرضعة عما أرضعت وتضع كل ذات حمل حملها وترى الناس سكارى وما هم بسكارى ولكن عذاب الله شديد. ومن الناس من يجادل في الله بغير علم ويتبع كل شيطان مريد كتب عليه أنه من تولاه فأنه يضله ويهديه إلى عذاب السعير. يا أيها الناس إن كنتم في ريب من البعث فإنا خلقناكم من تراب ثم من نطفة ثم من علقة ثم من مضغة مخلقة وغير مخلقة لنبين لكم ونقر في الأرحام ما نشاء إلى أجل مسمى ثم نخرجكم طفلا ثم لتبلغوا أشدكم ومنكم من يتوفى ومنكم من يرد إلى أرذل العمر لكي لا يعلم من بعد علم شيئا وترى الأرض هامدة فإذا أنزلنا عليها الماء اهتزت وربت وأنبتت من كل زوج بهيج ذلك بأن الله هو الحق وأنه يحيي الموتى وأنه على كل شيء قدير وأن الساعة آتية لا ريب فيها وأن الله يبعث من في القبور. ومن الناس من يجادل في الله بغير علم ولا هدى ولا كتاب منير ثاني عطفه ليضل عن سبيل الله له في الدنيا خزي ونذيقه يوم القيامة عذاب الحريق ذلك بما قدمت يداك وأن الله ليس بظلام للعبيد. ومن الناس من يعبد الله على حرف فإن أصابه خير اطمأن به وإن أصابته فتنة انقلب على وجهه خسر الدنيا والآخرة ذلك هو الخسران المبين. يدعو من دون الله ما لا يضره وما لا ينفعه ذلك هو الضلال البعيد. يدعو لمن ضره أقرب من نفعه لبئس المولى ولبئس العشير. إن الله يدخل الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات جنات تجري من تحتها الأنهار إن الله يفعل ما يريد. من كان يظن أن لن ينصره الله في الدنيا والآخرة فليمدد بسبب إلى السماء ثم ليقطع فلينظر هل يذهبن كيده ما يغيظ. وكذلك أنزلناه آيات بينات وأن الله يهدي من يريد. إن الذين آمنوا والذين هادوا والصابئين والنصارى والمجوس والذين أشركوا إن الله يفصل بينهم يوم القيامة إن الله على كل شيء شهيد. ألم تر أن الله يسجد له من في السماوات ومن في الأرض والشمس والقمر والنجوم والجبال والشجر والدواب وكثير حق عليه العذاب ومن يهن الله فما له من مكرم إن الله يفعل ما يشاء. This is a verse of prostration. We'll pause for anyone who would like to do the prostration at this point. هذان خصمان اختصموا في ربهم فالذين كفروا قطعت لهم ثياب من نار يصب من فوق رؤوسهم الحميم يصهر به ما في بطونهم والجلود ولهم مقامع من حديد كلما أرادوا أن يخرجوا منها من غم أعيدوا فيها وذوقوا عذاب الحريق إن الله يدخل الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات جنات تجري من تحتها الأنهار يحلون فيها من أساور من ذهب ولؤلؤا ولباسهم فيها حرير وهدوا إلى الطيب من القول وهدوا إلى صراط الحميد إن الذين كفروا ويصدون عن سبيل الله والمسجد الحرام الذي جعلناه للناس سواء العاكف فيه والباد ومن يرد فيه بإلحاد بظلم نذقه من عذاب أليم وإذ بوأنا لإبراهيم مكان البيت ألا تشرك بي شيئا وطهر بيتي للطائفين والقائمين والركع السجود وأذن في الناس بالحج يأتوك رجالا وعلى كل ضامر يأتين من كل فج عميق ليشهدوا منافع لهم ويذكروا اسم الله في أيام معلومات على ما رزقهم من بهيمة الأنعام فكلوا منها وأطعموا البائس الفقير ثم ليقضوا تفثهم وليوفوا نذورهم وليطوفوا بالبيت العتيق ذلك ومن يعظم حرمات الله فهو خير له عند ربه وأحلت لكم الأنعام إلا ما يتلى عليكم فاجتنبوا الرجس من الأوثان واجتنبوا قول الزور حنفاء لله غير مشركين به ومن يشرك بالله فكأنما خر من السماء فتخطفه الطير أو تهوي به الريح في مكان سحيق ذلك ومن يعظم شعائر الله فإنها من تقوى القلوب لكم فيها منافع إلى أجل مسمى ثم محلها إلى البيت العتيق ولكل أمة جعلنا منسكا ليذكروا اسم الله على ما رزقهم من بهيمة الأنعام فإلهكم إله واحد فله أسلموا وبشر المخبتين الذين إذا ذكر الله وجلت قلوبهم والصابرين على ما أصابهم والمقيم الصلاة ومما رزقناهم ينفقون والبدن جعلناها لكم من شعائر الله لكم فيها خير فاذكروا اسم الله عليها صواف فإذا وجبت جنوبها فكلوا منها وأطعموا القانع والمعتر كذلك سخرناها لكم لعلكم تشكرون لن ينال الله لحومها ولا دماؤها ولكن يناله التقوى منكم كذلك سخرها لكم لتكبروا الله على ما هداكم وبشر المحسنين إن الله يدافع عن الذين آمنوا إن الله لا يحب كل خوان كفور.
أذن للذين يقاتلون بأنهم ظلموا وإن الله على نصرهم لقدير الذين أخرجوا من ديارهم بغير حق إلا أن يقولوا ربنا الله ولولا دفع الله الناس بعضهم ببعض لهدمت صوامع وبيع وصلوات ومساجد يذكر فيها اسم الله كثيرا ولينصرن الله من ينصره إن الله لقوي عزيز الذين مكناهم في الأرض أقاموا الصلاة وآتوا الزكاة وأمروا بالمعروف ونهوا عن المنكر ولله عاقبة الأمور وإن يكذبوك فقد كذبت قبلهم قوم نوح وعاد وثمود وقوم إبراهيم وقوم لوط وأصحاب مدين وكذب موسى فأمليت للكافرين ثم أخذتهم فكيف كان نكير فكأي من قرية أهلكناها وهي ظالمة فهي خاوية على عروشها وبئر معطلة وقصر مشيد أفلم يسيروا في الأرض فتكون لهم قلوب يعقلون بها أو آذان يسمعون بها فإنها لا تعمى الأبصار ولكن تعمى القلوب التي في الصدور ويستعجلونك بالعذاب ولن يخلف الله وعده وإن يوما عند ربك كألف سنة مما تعدون وكأي من قرية أمليت لها وهي ظالمة ثم أخذتها وإلي المصير قل يا أيها الناس إنما أنا لكم نذير مبين فالذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات لهم مغفرة ورزق كريم والذين سعوا في آياتنا معاجزين أولئك أصحاب الجحيم وما أرسلنا من قبلك من رسول ولا نبي إلا إذا تمنى ألقى الشيطان في أمنيته فينسخ الله ما يلقي الشيطان ثم يحكم الله آياته والله عليم حكيم ليجعل ما يلقي الشيطان فتنة للذين في قلوبهم مرض والقاسية قلوبهم وإن الظالمين لفي شقاق بعيد وليعلم الذين أوتوا العلم أنه الحق من ربك فيؤمنوا به فتخبت له قلوبهم وإن الله لهادي الذين آمنوا إلى صراط مستقيم ولا يزال الذين كفروا في مرية منه حتى تأتيهم الساعة بغتة أو يأتيهم عذاب يوم عقيم الملك يومئذ لله يحكم بينهم فالذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات في جنات النعيم والذين كفروا وكذبوا بآياتنا فأولئك لهم عذاب مهين والذين هاجروا في سبيل الله ثم قتلوا أو ماتوا ليرزقنهم الله رزقا حسنا وإن الله لهو خير الرازقين ليدخلنهم مدخلا يرضونه وإن الله لعليم حليم ذلك ومن عاقب بمثل ما عوقب به ثم بغي عليه لينصرنه الله إن الله لعفو غفور ذلك بأن الله يولج الليل في النهار ويولج النهار في الليل وأن الله سميع بصير ذلك بأن الله هو الحق وأن ما يدعون من دونه هو الباطل وأن الله هو العلي الكبير ألم تر أن الله أنزل من السماء ماء فتصبح الأرض مخضرة إن الله لطيف خبير له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض وإن الله لهو الغني الحميد ألم تر أن الله سخر لكم ما في الأرض والفلك تجري في البحر بأمره ويمسك السماء أن تقع على الأرض إلا بإذنه إن الله بالناس لرؤوف رحيم وهو الذي أحياكم ثم يميتكم ثم يحييكم إن الإنسان لكفور لكل أمة جعلنا منسكنهم ناسكوه فلا ينازعنك في الأمر وادع إلى ربك إنك لعلى هدى مستقيم وإن جادلوك فقل الله أعلم بما تعملون الله يحكم بينكم يوم القيامة فيما كنتم فيه تختلفون ألم تعلم أن الله يعلم ما في السماء والأرض إن ذلك في كتاب إن ذلك على الله يسير ويعبدون من دون الله ما لم ينزل به سلطانا وما ليس لهم به علم وما للظالمين من نصير وإذا تتلى عليهم آياتنا بينات تعرف في وجوه الذين كفروا المنكر يكادون يسطون بالذين يتلون عليهم آياتنا قل أفأنبئكم بشر من ذلكم النار وعدها الله الذين كفروا وبئس المصير يا أيها الناس ضرب مثل فاستمعوا له إن الذين تدعون من دون الله لن يخلقوا ذبابا ولو اجتمعوا له وإن يسلبهم الذباب شيئا لا يستنقذوه منه ضعف الطالب والمطلوب ما قدر الله حق قدره إن الله لقوي عزيز الله يصطفي من الملائكة رسلا ومن الناس إن الله سميع بصير يعلم ما بين أيديهم وما خلفهم وإلى الله ترجع الأمور يا أيها الذين آمنوا اركعوا واسجدوا واعبدوا ربكم وافعلوا الخير لعلكم تفلحون. This is also another sajda ayah. So if anyone would like to read your sajda now, you can give it a quick minute. وجاهدوا في الله حق جهاده هو اجتباكم وما جعل عليكم في الدين من حرج ملة أبيكم إبراهيم هو سماكم المسلمين من قبل وفي هذا ليكون الرسول شهيدا عليكم وتكونوا شهداء على الناس فأقيموا الصلاة وآتوا الزكاة واعتصموا بالله هو مولاكم فنعم المولى ونعم النصير. So we're going to pick back up tomorrow, inshallah, with chapter number 23, Surah Al-Mu'minun. We'll go ahead and end with a short dua. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Allahumma salli wa sallim wa barik ala Sayyidina wa Habibina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. Allahumma anta salam wa minka salam. Tabarakta ya dhal jalali wal ikram. Allahumma a'inna ala dhikrika wa shukrika wa husni ibadatik. اللهم إنك عفو كريم تحب العفو فاعف عنا ربنا فاغفر لنا ذنوبنا وكفر عنا سيئاتنا وتوفنا مع الأبرار يا أرحم الراحمين. Ya Allah, you are the most merciful of those who show mercy. You are the forgiver and hider of faults. You are the great forgiver. You are the guide to repentance. You are our source of love, our source of peace, and our source of love. Ya Allah, we thank you for gathering us here today to be in the blessed presence of one another. Ya Allah, that you have granted us the opportunity to be in the presence of others in a state of remembrance of you. Ya Allah, we ask that you accept these efforts from us. Ya Allah, the recitation of and the listening to your verses from the Holy Quran. Ya Allah, in the middle 10 days of this month, we seek your forgiveness, as was the sunnah of your Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ya Allah, we ask that you forgive us for the sins, for the mistakes, for the misdeeds that we've committed, those that we've committed both knowingly and unknowing, openly and secretly, those we committed both with and without knowledge. Ya Allah, we ask that you do not define us by the worst of our deeds, but rather you elevate us by the best of our deeds. Ya Allah, let this be the month by which we can begin a new chapter in our own lives, that the bad habits of the past, Ya Allah, the self-harming coping mechanisms of the past, Ya Allah, grant us the strength and the determination and the courage to move past those deeds and those practices. Ya Allah, in this month, in the midst of this quarantine, in the midst of the exhaustion and the fatigue that we may be feeling in the middle of this Ramadan, Ya Allah, grant us newfound strength. Allow us to tap into new sources of willpower by which we can continue to exert ourselves in worship and service of you. Ya Allah, allow us to continue to place our forehead upon the ground in a state of sujood, in a submission to you. Ya Allah, that we can be blessed with the opportunity to be in that state of submission, the position of the sujood being one that the Prophet, your Nabi, has told us, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is the position in which the servant is closest to his creator, to her creator. Ya Allah, grant us many more opportunities in this month to be in that state of sujood, in ultimate submission to you. Ya Allah, we ask that in these days you allow us to see the truth as truth, and that you allow us to follow it. You allow us to identify and see what is false and deceptive as false and deceptive. And Ya Allah, you grant us the strength to be pushed away from it. Ya Allah, grant us hearts that are drawn towards your remembrance. Ya Allah, that we do not feel agitation or stress or pain when the time for prayer comes, but rather there is a love and a desire to be drawn towards the prayer out of a heart being drawn towards you. Ya Allah, grant us hearts that find ease and contentment in the worship of you and in the service of your creation. Ya Allah, grant us hearts that are not apathetic or numb, but Ya Allah, grant us hearts that are sensitive and empathetic to the struggles of those whom we know and those whom we don't know. Ya Allah, grant us hearts that are purged of any sort of animosity, any sort of envy, any sort of jealousy, any sort of grudges that we may be holding in our hearts. Ya Allah, purge all that negativity from within us. Ya Allah, grant us hearts that allow us to see others with a good opinion. Ya Allah, that we do not assume the worst in others, but Ya Allah, that you grant us the strength to assume the best in others and to serve others. Ya Allah, in the midst of these days where there are continuous systemic injustices perpetrated by institutions within our society, particularly upon our marginalized, particularly upon our Black brothers and sisters, Ya Allah, grant us the strength to address those injustices. Ya Allah, purge any sort of racism or bigotry or any sense of supremacist ideology from the vessels of the institutions within our country and across the world. Ya Allah, that we can move past a system in which those who are of a different skin color, are of a quote-unquote lesser skin color, are profiled, are harassed, and are ultimately shot and killed when they're unarmed. Ya Allah, we ask that you grant us the ability to move past this sort of system of injustice. Ya Allah, that those who are the perpetrators of this injustice are served justice. Ya Allah, that they are granted and serve the consequences of their evil and heinous deeds. Ya Allah, we ask that you allow our hearts to ache for those people who have been the victims of this injustice. Ya Allah, that we no longer simply continue to move in our day without feeling at least a sense of pain and a sense of affliction when we hear a fellow brother and sister in humanity being attacked and harassed and killed. Ya Allah, open our hearts to feel the true pain that should be felt when injustice occurs to anyone and to everyone. Ya Allah, in the midst of these days, there are individuals who are experiencing hidden afflictions. Ya Allah, afflictions of the heart, spiritual, mental, and emotional afflictions. Ya Allah, feelings of loneliness and depression and anxiety. Ya Allah, feelings of self-deprecation. Ya Allah, feelings of body shaming, especially within this month where there is an increased emphasis to try to improve the appearance of our bodies, Ya Allah, and sometimes we do to the detriment of our own hearts and souls. Ya Allah, purge us and cleanse us of any internal, spiritual, and mental affliction that we may be struggling with. Ya Allah, grant ease to all those who are suffering silently. Ya Allah, grant ease to our brothers and sisters who are suffering silently in the midst of domestically abusive homes. Ya Allah, grant ease to our brothers and sisters who may be suffering in silence when they don't have anyone to turn to, Ya Allah, to seek support in. Ya Allah, we ask that you, being the knower of all hearts, that you grant all hearts a sense of ease in this month. Ya Allah, those who have been afflicted by this pandemic, both in this country and across the world, Ya Allah, grant their hearts ease. Ya Allah, elevate them through their struggles and through the pain that they're experiencing. Ya Allah, we ask that you purge this world of this virus, Ya Allah, that you allow people to be able to return back to their work and be able to secure their means of livelihood once again. Ya Allah, in a country where over 35 million people are now unemployed or partially unemployed, Ya Allah, we ask that you grant ease to those people who are suffering. Ya Allah, grant us the strength to be the means by which those people who are suffering are granted ease. Ya Allah, grant us the strength to continue to beseech you, to call you by your most beautiful names in this month, so that you can rid us of any diseases in our hearts and any barriers that prevent us from worshiping you and serving your creation. Ya Allah, purge us of anything that holds us away from you. Purge us of any attractions and fleeting desires that pull us away from you. Ya Allah, elevate us so that we can be amongst your awliya, that we can be amongst your friends, that we could be amongst the most righteous in humanity, that we could be amongst those who can serve you and who can continue to love you, whether or not this world approves of that love or acknowledges our love or not. Ya Allah, strengthen us in these days and in the years to come. Ya Allah, we ask that you grant us ease in this life and grant us success in the next life. Allahumma rabbana atina fid dunya hasana wa fil akhirati hasana wa qina adhab an-nar wa qina adhab al-qabr wa qina adhab al-mizan wa qina adhab yawm al-qiyamah. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم وصلى الله على سيدنا وحبيبنا ومولانا مصطفى محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. So go ahead and end here. So we're starting Juz 18 tomorrow. Jazakallah khair, everyone. Take care.